Well, I told you guys that I would more than likely be back today as we have another trade going down in the NBA, this time with the Pelicans sending CJ McCollum to the Wizards for Jordan Poole, among the other players. We're going to talk about what it all means and more right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, your number one spot for everything basketball related. I'm the host, there, Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at NBA Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, and we got a quick update going down here. The Washington Wizards and the New Orleans Pelicans are swapping guards. The Pelicans are sending veteran CJ McCollum and Kelly Olynyk and a future second-round pick to the Washington Wizards for Jordan Poole, Sadiq Bey, and the number 40th pick in this year's draft. Now, this is the Pelicans who, when you look at the Pelicans, right, and the fact that they are trying to make their roster make more sense, while Sadiq Bey is in no way a perfect player at all, right? He is a player that is, still fairly young when it comes down to that. You've now traded youth and older veterans and gotten two younger players back. Jordan Poole's been in the league for a little while, but still is an extremely young player when it comes down to it as well. This is, I think, a trade that it's questionable on paper, but I do think that this is the Pelicans still trying to find the right mix of players that they can have around Zion Williamson and what they're building here. The Pelicans have the number 7th overall pick in this draft. What this means for what they're looking at as far as what player they're looking at, that remains to be seen. They are one of the teams that have been rumored to be interested in Kaman Malawak, as well as some other centers. Now shoring up your guards, getting some wing depth here as well. Maybe that's something that does that here for the Pelicans. Well, we'll see how it all goes when it all shakes out. But now the Pelicans are going to be armed with this pick, as well as the 40th pick in this draft as well. And that, second round picks aren't necessarily great, but I do think the Pelicans already have the 8th overall pick, right? They have the 7th overall pick. Then they still also have a pick later on in the first as well. So this is now that you have the 7th, you have the 23, you have 40. Now, the Pelicans could do something interesting and try to package some picks and move up if they decide to do so. They could be a team that's looking to move up if Ace Bailey does fall or something like that. But the Pelicans are trying to make a little bit more sense of their roster. As far as the Washington Wizards, I don't know what the Wizards are doing. I'm not even going to front on you on this one. The Washington Wizards have the 18th overall pick in this draft, as well as number 6, right? So they have that in this draft. They are armed with multiple first-round picks as well in this draft. And this does clear out, some long-term salary for them when it's all said and done. But this is still a move when you look at it on paper and you're like, I don't know what the Pelicans really benefited from this personally. And maybe that's just me. Again, I say what it is. For the Pelicans, they clearly get younger, right? And they get more dynamic with Jordan Poole and Sadiq Bey on this team. And then Washington now, you look at them and what they have $100 million in projected cap space in 2026. So it does free up some long-term money for them. But again, with the Washington Wizards in the state of their roster, I don't know if they're going to be a team that's really going to be attractive to any free agents or anything like that. But what they could be looking to do for sure here is they could be looking to, stack the deck and maybe put themselves in a position where they can take back some bad salary and stack assets in that way. That's another way in the NBA to stack assets if you can. And so the Pelicans being aggressive here, and the Pelicans were another team, much like the Portland Trailblazers, that a lot of teams thought they would be more active at the trade deadline. Now, we did hear after the season with the change in the people running that team that everybody was open for business basically there. And so now they move off CJ McCollum here, and they pick a new, younger direction with their roster. And I do think this is a right way to go for them. The Pelicans are a team that has talent. They're a team that has been often injured and things like that, but they do have some talent on that team. And so now that you have DeJounte Murray, you have Jordan Poole that's going to be there. That's a little bit weird of a fit. You still have Trey Murphy III, Zion, Yves Messi, a player who really stood out for you last year as well. You got some really solid players overall on this team. Herb Jones is still on the team as well, right? So they still maintain a lot of their youth. They get considerably younger by moving off from CJ McCollum, who's 33 years old, to get younger there. You bring in Sadiq Bey, who can provide some depth for you as well. And, this is a move now that you look at this for the Pelicans and you say, all right, it seems like the Pelicans are going younger. Even if they're still trying to, reportedly, they're still building around Zion, with Zion being the focal point of what they do. even with moving and now building around Zion, you now have a younger roster, meaning that if you do need to pivot, you're not locked into a bunch of vets, right? They already moved Brandon Ingram at last year's trade deadline. You're now moving off from CJ McCollum, a veteran who's 33 years old. You're getting back Jordan Poole in this one, who's only 26 years old. He averaged 20 points per game last season. He was 30th in the NBA in entire scoring. Now, it wasn't the most efficient scoring, but you do get an isolation scorer now out there for you if you need it. And you get a reclamation project to see if you can put Jordan Poole in a better situation to where he can be more like some teams thought that he was going to be and had the chance to be. And we'll see what happens. I don't know how successful they're going to be in that. You know, it's up and down what you look on as that. And Sadiq Bey is a player that, depending on how you view him, he's still a player that averaged almost 14 points per game last year. He's 26 years old. He did it on 41% shooting from the field. He shot the ball as well, 31% from three, which isn't great, right? So he doesn't fit that prototypical 3-and-D mold, but he is a player that can provide some depth for you and a scoring punch off the bench if you do need. So he's a career 14-point per game scorer as well, career 35% shooter from three. Last year was the worst year of his career shooting from three. If you can get him back up to what he did his last year in Atlanta, where he shot 40% from the field in 2022-23, then you got something there potentially. So we'll see what happens here. Overall, this is a move that I'm looking at that I like more for the Pelicans than I do for the Washington Wizards. But the Wizards are a team that seems like they're committed to their young core, and they're going to try to build and develop the guys that they have here. Bub Carrington, really nice player to build around, see what you got there. You got Bilal Coulibaly there, who's going to be good. You got Alexander Sarr in there. You're going to be adding some more first-round picks to this core that you have here now, too, as well, and try to figure this thing out. And as it grows, really kind of determine what your team and your makeup of your team is going to look like. So if you're looking at that, it's, again, solid enough move, I guess. Pelican fans, I would love to hear from you guys down below on this one. How are you feeling about this move? Is this a move that to you makes sense for the direction of your team? Wizards fans, how do you feel about this move? And I guess since we're catching up in this quick update, Matas Buzelis also got his option picked up by the Portland Trailblazers at $11.5 million player option for the 25-26 season. The Trailblazers are going to be an interesting team to watch this year, because I think they are a team that is really going to try to put their best foot forward and win as many games as possible. They're not tanking. They're not doing anything like that. I think they're going to let the natural conclusion of whatever happens for their season happens. So if they can make the playoffs, they will. They make the play-in, I think, is more likely goal for them to try to aim for first. But they seem to be a team that's going to be trying to go in for it as well. So locking in Matas Buzelis last year on his deal, at bare minimum, he's $11.5 million expiring contract that you can look if you decide to do any other moves. And so, hey, the NBA has already gotten started. It's gotten a little crazy, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be stopping anytime soon. But let me know how you guys feel on all of this down below. Who do you feel got the best look out of this deal? Let me know that down below. How do you feel about the Portland Trailblazers and their goal to try to make the playoffs this year? Do you think that that is a reasonable thing for them to try to make the play-in or the playoffs, or in a deep Western Conference? They're going to find themselves on the outside looking in once again, despite the changes and adding in a veteran like Jrue Holiday. Let me know what you guys think on all of that down below. If you want to follow us, you can do so at NBA Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the #1 spot for everything basketball related. And I'll see you guys the next time I feel like making a video. Probably tomorrow. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.